I turned 18 last night, and at my own birthday party, my dad pulled me aside and whispered 4 words into my ear. Just sign the papers. I smiled. I nodded. Then I walked into the kitchen, opened my laptop, and moved my entire multi-million-dollar inheritance into a legal wall nobody in my family could touch. By morning, my dad had turned white. My uncle, who had already signed a deal to sell property he never owned, was on the phone with a lawyer. And I was eating cereal. Welcome back to Shatnerby. Real women. Impossible families. The moment the truth finally wins. ACT1, the birthday party. My name is Iris Tmain. And this is the story of how my grandparents saved me from beyond the grave, from the two people who were supposed to love me most. But to understand last night, you have to go back 6 years. To a summer at Cedar Lake. To an old man with sawdust on his hands and something important to say. ACT2, Cedar Lake, cinematic cut, summer. Cedar Lake. A girl, 12 years old. My grandfather Harold picks me up in his truck. 40 minutes down a quiet road. Pines so tall they block the afternoon sun. A cabin that sags on one side. A screen door that doesn't latch right. The smell of wood smoke and old books and something sweet I've never been able to name. Grab the other end, he says, lifting a fence rail. I do. We spend the whole morning replacing rotted posts along the south side. He doesn't rush me. He shows me how to press my thumb into the wood grain. If it gives, it's done. Inside, Grandma Vivian has iced tea waiting. Sandwiches on the kitchen table. The one Grandpa built with his own hands the year they got married. She pats the chair beside her on the porch, and we sit together, watching the lake turn gold. That evening, Grandpa wipes sawdust off his hands and says something I won't fully understand for 6 more years. This cabin stays in the family, Iris. But family isn't always blood. Family is whoever shows up. I think he's being poetic. He isn't. That whole summer, I come back every weekend. I learn where the water heater leaks, which window sticks, how to bleed the radiator. Grandma teaches me to organize the bookshelves by color because it makes the room feel warmer. Grandpa shows me the old iron property line markers he hammered in himself. I don't know it yet, but while I'm learning every creak and corner of this place, my grandfather is already sitting across from a lawyer, talking about exactly this cabin, exactly this land, exactly me. ACT3, home. Back in Ridgemont, the air is different. Our house is fine. 3 bedrooms, a yard that needs mowing, a garage my dad Greg uses as an office for his building supply store. Fine. Not warm. Just fine. My sister Kelsey has the bigger bedroom. Freshly redecorated. Lavender walls. A desk lamp that costs more than my entire bookshelf. My room still has the carpet from the previous owners. One night at dinner, my dad brings up the cabin. Dad's place is just sitting there losing value, he says, cutting his steak. Property taxes alone are killing us. We should sell. Reinvest. Mom nods. Makes sense. Grandpa said the cabin stays in the family, I say. Greg laughs. Not a mean laugh. Worse, a dismissive one. You were 12, Iris. He was being nice. Nobody asks me anything else. The conversation moves to Kelsey's debate trophy. Regional finalist. Very impressive. Mom has already framed the certificate. I had won the district science fair 2 weeks earlier. The ribbon is still in my backpack. I clear the plates. And on the counter, half hidden under grocery list, I find a glossy flyer. Ridgeline Development. Lakefront lots. Premium prices. Now acquiring. A handwritten phone number in the margin. Not my dad's handwriting. I put the flyer back exactly where I found it. Go upstairs. Sit on my bed. Someone is already measuring my grandparents' home in dollar signs. ACT4. The funeral's Grandpa Harold dies 2 years later. I'm 14. Gray sky. Damp grass. Folding chairs sinking into the lawn. I sit in the second row, holding his handkerchief, blue plaid, frayed at the edges, smelling faintly of pine. At the reception, I notice my dad and his brother Wade standing by the dessert table. Not eating. Talking low. Wade has a folder tucked under his arm. I catch one sentence. We should move on this before probate gets complicated. They're talking about the cabin. At the funeral. I say nothing. I'm 14. I have no power, no voice, and no idea that my grandfather already accounted for this exact moment. 2 more years pass. Grandma Vivian gets sick in March. She's gone by June. The last time I visit, she holds my hand. Her grip surprisingly firm for someone so small, so tired. The cabin is yours, Iris, she whispers. Don't let them take it. Promise me. I promise, Grandma. She squeezes once, closes her eyes. After the funeral, another gray day, same folding chairs. My dad sits at the kitchen table and says to my mom, "Now we can finally sort out the property." He says it with relief, like something heavy has lifted. That same evening, Uncle Wade calls. I hear my dad in the garage pacing. "Yeah, let's get it moving." I'm standing in the hallway holding a glass of water, and it hits me. My grandmother's death isn't a loss to them. It's a clearance. I don't cry that night. I make a different kind of decision. ACT 5, the quiet rebellion between 16 and almost 18, the cabin becomes my silent fight. Every Saturday morning, I drive to Cedar Lake in a used Honda I bought with babysitting money. I patch the porch screen, replace the weather stripping, sweep pine needles off the roof because Grandpa taught me that's how leaks start. At home, the conversations shift. The cabin stops being Grandpa's place and starts being the family property. Greg says this at dinner like it's always been true. Wade starts showing up every other Sunday, manila folders, laptops open to real estate listings. I try once. What about Grandma's wish? She wanted me to keep it. Mom sets down her fork gently, the way she does before correcting homework. Your grandma was emotional at the end, sweetie. This is business. Business. That's the word they use for everything that used to be love. One November afternoon. The cabin. Alone. I'm clearing out the hall closet. Behind a stack of old quilts, I find a sealed envelope. My name on the front. In Grandma Vivian's handwriting. Inside, a single business card. Margaret Caldwell, attorney at law. And below her name, in small print, Temain Family Trust. My hands shake. Not from fear. From recognition. Grandma left this here for me to find. She knew I'd be the one cleaning closets. Not Greg. Not Wade. Me. ACT 6, Margaret. 3 months before my 18th birthday, Margaret Caldwell calls me first. Thursday evening. February. I'm doing calculus homework. Iris, this is Margaret Caldwell. I was your grandparents' attorney. I need to speak with you before your birthday. There are things you need to know. And there isn't much time. Saturday morning. Her office. Small, organized, smelling like old paper and coffee. She opens a folder and slides a document across the desk. Your grandparents hired me 6 years ago, she says. They established an irrevocable trust. The cabin, a savings account, an investment portfolio. Total value, approximately $2.1 million. All of it held in the trust. You are the sole beneficiary. The room tilts. The title to the cabin was recorded under the trust at the county recorder's office 6 years ago. Your father doesn't know that. Why didn't they tell him? Margaret pauses. Your grandfather said, and these are his exact words, my sons will sell that cabin before the funeral flowers wilt. The room goes quiet. I stare at my name on the document. Then Margaret adds, there's something else. Someone has been making inquiries at the county recorder's office about the cabin's title. Within the last month. ACT 7, the garage. I start paying close attention. The next Sunday, Wade comes for dinner. Afterward, he and Greg disappear into the garage. Door open a crack. Not enough to see. Enough to hear. Wade's voice. I already signed the purchase agreement with Ridgeline. $450,000. But we need the title clean before closing, Greg. How do we get it clean? Quit claim deed. Dad's gone. Mom's gone. We're the legal heirs. We quit claim the property to ourselves, record it and sell. Is that legal? It's a standard real estate transfer between heirs. Nobody's going to question it. A pause. What about Iris? My chest tightens. Wade's answer comes fast, like he's already thought about it. She's 17, Greg. She can't do anything. And by the time she's 18, the sale goes through. Done deal. She'll be upset. She'll get over it. We'll give her a cut. 50 grand for college. She should be grateful. I step back from the garage door. My hands are cold. Wade has already signed a purchase agreement for $450,000 for a cabin he doesn't own, on land held in a trust he doesn't know exists. That night, I text Margaret 2 words. They're accelerating. Her reply comes in 3 minutes. I expected that. Come see me Saturday. We'll prepare everything you need. ACT 8, the plan Saturday. Margaret's office. She lays out the timeline on a legal pad like a battle plan. The cabin title is already under the trust. The moment you turn 18, you formally accept the role of successor beneficiary. Once you sign, I file a lease pendens, a public notice of legal interest, at the county recorder's office first thing that morning. That freezes the title. Nobody can record anything against it. What do I need to do? Show up. Sign one document. I'll handle the rest. I sit with that for a moment. Should I tell my parents? Margaret takes off her glasses. Your grandfather specifically asked me to protect you, Iris, not to negotiate with them. I drive home. Greg is in the kitchen. Cheerful. Big smile. Good news, kiddo. I'm throwing you a birthday party. Whole family. Saturday night. It's a big one, 18. He smiles. Mom smiles. Kelsey claps. I smile too. My dad is planning my birthday party. My uncle is planning to sell my grandmother's cabin. And I am sitting at the kitchen table, smiling because in 9 days, I'm going to let them think everything is going exactly according to their schedule. ACT 9. The birthday. Have you ever had to stay silent to protect yourself when every part of you wanted to speak? Tell me in the comments. Because what comes next, nobody saw coming. The night before my birthday, I drive to the cabin alone. Cedar Lake sits flat and dark under a half moon. The pines look like cutouts against the sky. I park in the gravel patch Grandpa leveled himself. Walk up the porch steps. The second one still creaks. I open my laptop. Margaret has sent the full document package. Everything tabbed, signed, ready. Grandpa used to sit right here and say, "Patience isn't weakness, Iris. It's timing." I always thought he was talking about fishing. The tears come without warning. Not a collapse. Just a quiet overflow I let happen. I cry because I wish this were different. I wish my dad had taken me fishing at this lake instead of calculating its resale value. I wish my mom had asked me what I wanted instead of telling me what was practical. I wish I didn't have to sign a legal document at midnight to protect myself from the people who are supposed to protect me. But wishes don't hold up in court. Trust documents do. I wipe my face, lock the cabin, drive home, set my alarm for 11:45. In 6 hours, I turn 18. In 7, my family finds out the cabin was never theirs to take. ACT 10, midnight, 11:50 p.m. My bedroom door is closed. The house is silent. I open my laptop. Margaret appears on screen. Blazer, reading glasses, desk lamp. Composed. Ready? Ready. At midnight, she walks me through it. 1 page. 1 signature. My name in ink. My grandparents' names printed above mine. Her voice softens. This isn't a trick, Iris. This is your grandfather's last gift. You just had to be old enough to accept it. The clock reads 12:03 a.m. I am 18. I am the legal beneficiary of the Temain Family Irrevocable Trust. And downstairs in the garage, my uncle's quitclaim deed is already a dead document. He'll find that out in about 9 hours. Act 11, 8 a.m. The county recorder's office opens. Fluorescent lights flicker on. A clerk in a blue cardigan unlocks the front counter. Margaret Caldwell is the first person through the door. Gray blazer. Leather folder. Calm as still water. She presents 2 documents. The trust. The lease pendens. Asks for them to be recorded against the Cedar Lake property. The clerk reviews it. Checks the title. Stamps it. Recorded. From this moment forward, anyone who pulls the title on Cedar Lake will see Tmain Family Irrevocable Trust. Margaret Caldwell, trustee. Iris Tmain, beneficiary. At 8:14 a.m., Margaret calls me. I'm sitting at the kitchen table eating cereal. Greg is upstairs getting dressed. Mom is making coffee. It's done. The lease pendens is recorded. Whatever they bring in will be rejected. At 8:30, Greg and Wade come downstairs together. Greg is wearing his business shirt, the one he wore to bank meetings before the store went under. Wade has the folder. Same folder. Always the same folder. We'll be back by lunch, Greg says, grabbing his keys. He glances at me. I look up from my bowl. Good luck, I say. Something flickers across his face. Then he turns and walks out. I rinse my cereal bowl. Dry it. Set it in the cabinet. And wait. ACT 12. The counter. 9:05 a.m. Wade approaches the counter. Slides the quitclaim deed across with a confident nod. Greg stands behind him, hands in his pockets, like they'll be out in 10 minutes. The clerk takes the document, types the parcel number, reads the screen, types again, then stops. I can't record this document, sir. Wade leans forward. Excuse me? The property title is held under the Tmain Family Irrevocable Trust, recorded in 2020. There's also a lease pendens filed this morning. That's impossible. My parents own that property. Sir, the deed was transferred to the trust 6 years ago. The chain of title is clear. This quitclaim doesn't match the current ownership record. Greg steps up. There's no trust. Our parents never mentioned a trust. I'd recommend you speak with the trustee listed on the filing. She slides a copy across the counter. A Margaret Caldwell. Wade's hand goes flat on the counter. His face drains. Greg turns to Wade. Slowly. You said this was simple. I didn't know about any trust. You're a real estate agent, Wade. How did you not check the title first? Wade opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. The clerk says evenly, Gentlemen, I'll need you to step outside. Margaret, seated in the waiting area near the door, watches them leave. She doesn't say a word. She doesn't need to. ACT 13. The call. 9:22 a.m. My phone rings. I'm on the porch, watching the neighbor's sprinkler arc back and forth. What did you do? Greg's voice. Tight. Shaking. Parking lot noise behind him. I accepted what Grandpa and Grandma left me. That's all. You went behind our backs. Margaret Caldwell has been the trust attorney for 6 years, Dad. You just never asked. Silence. Heavy breathing. This is my parents' property. I'm their son. I know, but they didn't trust you with it. The longest silence of my life. I count the sprinkler rotations. 3 full arcs. We'll fight this. You can try, but the trust is irrevocable. Even I can't dissolve it. There's nothing for anyone to undo. You don't know what you're talking about. I do, Dad. I've had 3 months to learn. He hangs up. No goodbye. Just a click. And dead air. I set the phone on the porch railing. My hands are shaking. Not from anger. Not from victory. From the weight of saying those words to my own father. From knowing that the man who taught me to ride a bike when I was 6 is the same man who just tried to sell my grandmother's home out from under me. I sit there until the shaking stops. It takes a while. ACT 14, dominoes. The consequences fall like dominoes over the next 3 weeks. Each one makes a sound. Ridgeline Development files a civil suit against Wade Tmain. Breach of contract. Misrepresentation of title. $45,000 in penalties. $60,000 in damages. Their attorney sends the complaint by certified mail to his duplex. He signs for it on a Tuesday. The county district attorney's office receives a referral regarding the forged notary stamp on Wade's quitclaim deed. An investigator is assigned. Wade's real estate license suspended. His income gone. Word travels through a small town. Court filings are public record. The Cedar Lake parcel number appears in Ridgeline's lawsuit. Neighbors read the local paper. They talk. By the second week, the story has moved through the Rotary Club, the church parking lot, and the checkout line at Hanson's Market. Harold Tmain's sons tried to sell his cabin. The granddaughter stopped them. That's the version that circles at the diner. Some people think I was brave. Some people think I was cold. I don't correct either group. ACT 15, the garage call. Wade calls the house. Greg picks up. I'm in a hallway, close enough to hear through the thin wall. Ridgeline is suing me. 45,000 plus damages. They're saying I committed fraud. Greg's voice.
Cold.
Colder than I've ever heard it. Did you? I thought we owned it. You're a real estate agent, Wade. You do title searches for a living. I assumed. You assumed. And now I'm sitting here with nothing because you assumed. You wanted the money too. But I didn't forge a notary stamp. A long silence. I just found a stamp. And that's forgery. You know that's forgery. Heavy breathing on the line. I need a lawyer. So, don't call this house again until you've talked to one.
Click.
The springs of the couch creak. Then nothing. ACT 16. The letter. I drive to the cabin on a Saturday morning in late April. Dogwoods blooming along the lake road. White and pale pink against dark water. I unlock the door with the same key Grandpa gave me when I was 14. In case you ever need to get in when we're not here, he said. I didn't know then he meant permanently. The cabin smells the same. Pine and old books and that sweet, faint something I've never named. I think now, it's the wood itself. Decades of sun and rain soaked into the walls. I walk through every room. The kitchen table Grandpa built, still solid, still level. Grandma's bookshelves, organized by color. The porch where they taught me everything I needed to know without ever calling it a lesson. In the desk drawer by the window, I find an envelope. My name. Grandpa Harold's handwriting. Margaret told me it would be there. I open it carefully. One page. Blue ink. His handwriting getting looser toward the bottom, the way it always did when he was tired. He tells me he knows his sons will try to sell the cabin. He doesn't blame them. Greg is his boy and he loves him. But Greg never understood the difference between something that has value and something that's valuable. He says he chose me, not because I'm perfect, but because I'm the one who asked whether the roof needed patching before I ever asked what the place was worth. The last line reads, "Take care of it. It took care of you first." I fold the letter.
Sit on the porch. Breathe.
ACT 17. The Education Fund. Margaret calls the following week. One more thing. In the trust documents, your grandparents designated a separate educational fund, $50,000, earmarked specifically for your college expenses. It's been accruing interest for 6 years. The current balance is just over $58,000.
My eyes sting.
$50,000. The same number Greg threatened me with. The same number Wade dangled like a bribe. My grandparents had already set it aside, quietly, years ago, without telling anyone. Iris, are you there?
Yeah.
My voice barely holds. I'm here. Your grandparents would be proud. I just kept a promise, Margaret. ACT 18, the coffee shop. I asked Greg and Denise to meet me at the coffee shop on Birch Street. Neutral ground. They arrived together. Greg is wearing a flannel I haven't seen in years, one of Grandpa's. Denise clutches her purse the way she holds things when she's nervous. We order. I wait until the cups are on the table. I love you, I say. Both of you. I need you to know that because what I'm about to say might not sound like it. Denise's jaw tightens. She nods. The cabin is not for sale.
Not now.
Not ever. I won't be made to feel guilty for keeping a promise I made to Grandma, a promise she trusted me with because she didn't believe anyone else would keep it. Greg stares into his coffee. I'm not cutting you out of my life. But if we're going to have a relationship, it has to be built on respect. Not on what I can give you financially. Not on guilt. Not on the idea that I owe you something just because you're my parents.
Denise starts to speak.
We just wanted what was, then start by being honest about what happened. You tried to sell something that wasn't yours. You threatened to kick me out. You went through my bag. She closes her mouth. When Greg finally speaks, his voice is rough. Emptied out. I don't know how to fix this. You don't have to fix it today. I stand. I leave enough cash for all 3 coffees. I'll call you Sunday. He nods. One small nod. I walk out into the sunlight. It's the most I can hope for right now. And somehow, it's enough. Closing, the porch, early June. 6 a.m. I'm on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching the mist lift off Cedar Lake. The pines are sharp against a pale sky. A loon calls somewhere out on the water. 2 long notes, then silence. I didn't win against my family. There's no winning when the people who hurt you are the people who are supposed to protect you. You don't get a trophy for surviving something that should never have happened. But I kept a promise. And for the first time in my life, I'm standing somewhere that belongs to me. Not because I fought for it, but because 2 people loved me enough to plan for exactly this. They saw the storm before I did. They built the shelter before I knew I'd need one. My grandparents couldn't stop my parents from being who they are. They couldn't make Greg less desperate or Denise less afraid. They couldn't keep Wade from chasing money that was never his. But they could make sure I had ground to stand on. Literally. I think about Grandpa's letter. The difference between something that has value and something that is valuable. This cabin has both. My family spent 2 years focused on the wrong one. I sip my coffee. The mist clears. The lake turns blue. If you're listening to this and you feel like nobody's in your corner, hear me. Sometimes the people who protect you aren't standing in front of you. Sometimes they planned for you years ago, quietly, without telling anyone. And sometimes all you have to do is show up, sign the paper, and keep the promise. Peace doesn't come from revenge. It comes from standing on something solid and knowing exactly how it was built. That's my story. If it stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love to have you here for the next one. See you then.